Good evening, dear participants. Exchange points of UAIX, and we will now talk about peculiarities of traffic exchange here in Ukraine, and we'll deal slightly with the IPV6 traffic exchange points. Now, prior to 2011, the situation of Ukraine was the predominant traffic exchange point was UAIX, and it's because of this particular point there was a connectivity between the Ukrainian providers and the successful development of the internet that has resulted in the number of internet providers in Ukraine and internet success in Ukraine as a whole. Now, one of the peculiarities was a non-participation of the largest provider, Ukr in traffic exchange inside the country, and that was a strategy of Ukr that allowed alternative operators to occupy a very worthy position, and less than 50% of the traffic, of the internet traffic now is now being serviced by our not the very largest operator, but except that the low price of a port and the presence of alternative cable networks and so on have resulted in the growth of both internet providers and internet traffic. Ukraine's peculiarities is peculiar because in the providers' tariffs, as a rule, what we had was primarily started with Kiev, and then it spread over to particular regions, and that's the presence of world traffic and Ukrainian traffic. And because of the low price per port in UAIX and the fact that IX technologically developed pretty fast and successfully as a rule at a bit rate of 100 megabits. It was called Ukraine, and some providers also added some peers, but on the whole that was a traffic exchange point, and that was access to traffic exchange point. Apart from that, the democratic principle of traffic exchange point in UAIX stipulated no peer transit at a point, and it played a certain role. And Ukraine, there were no peering wars because of that. And it should be said that the traffic exchange point UAIX is an affiliate or branch of the Internet Association of Ukraine. And for sure, the Internet Association of Ukraine did influence the process of struggling with the legislation restrictions to the development of the Internet, and it also influenced the a points policy from the point of view of maintaining the market relations and presence of democratic principles. What has changed? What has changed now is the fact that after 2011, we actually had the rising competition of competitive alternative points, and apart from that, what should be said is that the limitations imposed by the Internet Association on the traffic exchange points meaning no IP transit present, have resulted in the fact that there popped up a field for new players, and that's a natural process, absolutely, in the condition of a point not being able to provide for all the services that are present abroad, in the foreign points. While there's still a pending trend of a low price per port and the alternative points had to also offer a pretty low price, not a high price. I'm talking about comparison with the European points per port, and there was a pending offer by the World in Ukrainian Traffic, meaning that the changes concern the fact that now under Ukrainian traffic, or what is called the Ukrainian traffic, we understand both direct peers and also every provider has their own lines, so the presence of direct peers and Ukrainian traffic points included, which already have Russian traffic in place. And then concerning today's time, concerning the current time, we must say that there is in principle potential threats from the regulator that is trying to some influence the process of internet development on the whole, and in particular that could be like internet to be referred to as universal service, and there are attempts being made to regulate interconnect of internet providers. And there were some attempts, but now this trend is obvious.
Speaking about the classical scheme of providers, what are the particularities typical for Ukraine? Does the transit S-class is absent. With other Ukrainian points, it is present, since there is some logics about that. If we look into the classical scheme of providers, that is Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 classification. We'll remind Tier 1 do not buy traffic. They have the only Tier 3 only buy traffic. They are not interchanging. In Ukraine, it is rather complicated to define Tier 1 provider. So probably Ukr provider, which does not buy traffic, but it with that interchanges traffic with its subsidiary, TMOP. And if we if you look into Tier 3 operators, these are only small apartment house companies that would like to increase their status. So we see the grant in the traffic and the number of the participants in the exchange points. I already said that what are the reasons for the appearance of new points. As for the classical scheme, if we regard the exchange point as a link that connects first and foremost Tier 1, Tier 2 operators, Tier 3 cities, networks, then presently mainly the basic trend and the key source for the growth, as I said, it is small companies, Tier 3 providers, because mainly three largest providers, these Tier 3 providers turned out to be connected. What are the particularities in the development of the hierarchy? Undoubtedly, there is not any authority. Well, thanks to God, there is no such authority in Ukraine to define levels of providers, to define this international intercity providers on the analogy with ITU. However, attempts to regulate interconnect continue, and in this regard, there is that objective which the regulator sees in front of it. I won't say that the exchange points are an important element for the network. If we think what will be the future for the traffic exchange points, if there is any just sense in investing, making stance, particularly for traffic exchange points. In 2 or 3 years, we understand that even middle-sized and small providers, they will be growing in size, and there will be the consolidation in the market. In this regard, an alternative is the direct physical connection peering through physical connection, and we understand that what is in this regard a key problem. The key problem is the same as the problem of partners in business. First, no problems, only positive aspects of establishing formal relationships, and then the question appears on a direct physical connection. Probably I give more than I receive, whether it is not reasonable to sell some of my content And mainly this is the ground for problem. With the exchange point, there is some rights, that's rituals according or formalities according to which a participant enters into the exchange point, and if no one raises a question, basically you give more or less at the exchange point, and no one measures one participant. As for the traffic exchange point OX, I will make it first that the owner doesn't set forth any commercial objectives. Owners of the opponent is the Internet Association of Ukraine. It consists of the same providers and other participants of the internet traffic. The main principle presently, all to all, the point actually is open, and when you enter into a point, there is no need to agree, but when all prefixes become open. As for the dynamics, we observe quite a stable growth of both traffic and the number of participants. We use the public peering with using road servers, and we have such a particularity of participants voting just on entering, whether these participants define whether the new participants are entitled to get access to the point. Let's briefly on the dynamics of the growth. That decline in the traffic, which is observed here, was caused by the appearance of new exchange points and by the competition in the market. However, all exchange points try to enhance their competitiveness, to add some new services which are not quite typical for the exchange, but nevertheless, this both the virtual connection via VLANs, they actually just at the level with the OX, which added to its servers regional development. Someone opens sites platforms in regions, because beyond Kiev city, the exchange of traffic is small in size in Kharkiv, in Crimea, and Donetsk. Someone makes a remote connection as DESX, particular OIX. And a very popular thing now, what Robijan mentioned, peering DB. Mainly in does the exchange point start to share multicast. As for the dynamics of traffic, I would like to speak about the track IP or on IPV6. On the example of the exchange UX, you see a strange dynamics, a strange picture of exchange in IPv6. In that moment, when there are some actions, when some discussions are conducted, the traffic grows. Everyone tries to demonstrate that they are skillful in doing that, and they're basically their networks are ready for the translation of IP addresses based on IPv6. The moment some actions disappear, the moment situation becomes serene, this traffic becomes just very small in size. Is the traffic that's purpose gets this access. Everyone knows that, and that via IPv6, some non-recommended websites are not filtered. Now look into the growth of prefixes with the Oleksandr via IPv6. We observe a very active connection of our participants by IPv6, an upgrading of the hardware of the operators. They receive IPv6 addresses, and the number of prefixes grow very, very actively. If by present there would have been seen just some external influence for the transfer to IPv6, the Ukrainian segment would turn out to be quite prepared for that. As for the exchange, by late November we expect over 70. And actually, half of the participants that support IPv6 at the exchange point. Also, I already mentioned active participation in tests and in actions. And in my opinion, what is the reason that there is no growth in traffic? Actually, is rather flat. In the absence of the deficit of IPv4 addresses, there are companies, some big blocks. They feel that they have a competitive advantage because they don't have those who do not have should just buy out them or purchase them or to launch rather serious algorithms or not 32 or 64 or more IPv4. With that, we see that the largest content providers, including Google, very actively restrict the access from an IP address to their resources. That is, there is not just is not. It's quite hardly believable that such a big company could not serve so many queries from one IP address. Due to that reason, quite slowly, content on IPv6 is being announced. We assume that within a year and a half, probably all our participants in exchange point will be ready for their transition to IPv6, and the future of operating these new technologies strongly depends on those content providers who will use them. That's all. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We have another presentation in this section. Also, I propose someone to put a question. What is the general number of the participants at the exchange? 144 at the moment. That's approximately 60. Currently not the half. I said by late November. Thank you.